Welcome back to English Out Loud. I'm Jake.
And I'm Annie. If you're new here, hi. This is the podcast where two friends talk about real, everyday topics in natural English.
And without making it feel like a lesson, we sneak in 5 useful English words or phrases every single episode.
Sneak in. I love that, like we're secretly teaching you.
Exactly. You think you're just listening to two people chat, and then suddenly you've learned 5 new phrases. Surprise!
The sneakiest English class ever.
If you enjoy the show, please hit subscribe. It means a lot to us and it helps the channel grow.
It really does. Okay, Jake, quick check-in. How are you doing today?
Honestly, I almost didn't prepare for today's episode.
Wait, what? Why?
I kept telling myself, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And then, suddenly, it was the night before, and I had to rush.
Oh no, so you kept putting it off.
Completely. Which is actually perfect, because that's exactly what we're talking about today.
Full circle moment. So today's topic is stop procrastinating.
Procrastination. The art of doing everything except the thing you're supposed to do.
Oh, that's such a perfect description. Like you need to write an email, but suddenly you're reorganizing your entire desk.
Or you need to study, but you decide it's actually a great time to clean the kitchen.
The kitchen has never been cleaner than during exam season.
So relatable. Okay, so today we're going to talk about why we procrastinate, what it actually costs us, and most importantly, some simple things you can do to stop.
And 5 really useful English phrases along the way.
Let's go.
Okay, Jake, you said you almost didn't prepare today. Tell me more. What was going through your head?
So, I had the whole week, and every day I thought, I have time. I'll do it tomorrow. And the next day, same thing. I'll do it tomorrow.
And tomorrow never came.
Well, it came eventually, but with a lot of panic.
That's so classic. I think a lot of people think procrastination is about being lazy, but I don't think that's really it.
And just to clarify that word quickly, procrastination means the habit of delaying things you should do, usually because they feel uncomfortable, boring, or just too big. It actually comes from the Latin word for tomorrow, which is kind of perfect.
So a procrastinator is basically someone who lives in tomorrow.
Exactly. Always tomorrow, never today. Anyway, right? I wasn't lazy. I was actually doing other things. I was busy, just not with the right thing.
Exactly. I read somewhere that procrastination is more about emotions than time. Like, we put something off not because we don't have time, but because the task feels uncomfortable.
Ooh. And put something off is a great phrase, by the way. To put something off means to delay it, to postpone it. Usually because you don't feel like doing it, or it feels too big or too scary.
Like, I keep putting off that difficult phone call, or don't put it off any longer, just start.
Yes. And the funny thing is, the more you put something off, the bigger and scarier it feels in your head.
Yes, it's like a snowball rolling downhill. The longer you wait, the bigger and heavier it gets.
Great image. And then you feel so overwhelmed that you put it off even more.
It's a vicious cycle.
Completely. And I think another big reason people procrastinate is perfectionism.
Oh, say more.
Like, you don't start because you want everything to be perfect before you begin. And since nothing is ever perfect, you just never begin.
Oh, I am so guilty of this. I'll spend so long planning something that I never actually do the thing.
Right? Planning feels productive, but sometimes it's just a very organized form of procrastination.
Ouch! That's uncomfortably accurate.
And there's one more reason I want to mention. It's the size of the task. When something feels too big, your brain just shuts down.
Like, you look at a huge project and think, where do I even start? And because you can't answer that question immediately, you just don't start at all.
Exactly. And that's where breaking things down becomes so important.
Okay, so we know why we procrastinate. Now the big question, what do we do about it?
Right. So the first thing, and this sounds almost too simple, is just to get started.
That's it? Just start?
I know, I know. But hear me out. Get started is the hardest part. Once you're moving, it becomes much easier to keep going.
There's actually a scientific explanation for this. Once you begin a task, your brain gets engaged and produces something called momentum. And momentum makes it easier to continue.
Yes, it's like pushing a heavy car. Getting it moving from a complete stop is the hardest part. But once it's rolling, you don't need as much force.
That's such a good image. So the trick is just to get started, even if you start very small.
Exactly. I have a rule I call the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. Don't think, don't plan, just get started and finish it.
And for bigger tasks,
For bigger tasks, you need to break it down.
yes, tell us about that one.
So, break it down means to take a big, overwhelming task and divide it into smaller, more manageable pieces. Instead of saying, I need to write a report, you say, Step 1, I will write the first paragraph. Step 2, I will find 3 examples. Step 3, I will write the conclusion.
And suddenly it doesn't feel so scary anymore.
Right? Each small step feels doable. And every time you finish a small step, you get a little hit of satisfaction, which motivates you to do the next one.
I actually use this all the time. When I have a big task, I break it down into steps, and then I only look at the first step. I don't even think about the rest yet.
That's perfect, because the rest feels far away and overwhelming. But the first small step? That's manageable.
And I have a tip I love, and it sounds a little silly, but it works. I trick my brain.
Oh, tell me.
So trick your brain means to use a small, clever technique to get yourself moving when you really don't want to. Like, you negotiate with yourself.
Negotiate with yourself. Okay. How?
So I tell myself I just have to work on this for 5 minutes, only 5 minutes, and then I can stop. And my brain agrees, because 5 minutes doesn't sound bad at all.
And then what happens?
And then after 5 minutes, I'm usually into it. I don't actually stop, because starting was the hard part, and now I've already started.
That's genius. You tricked your brain into starting.
Exactly. And you can trick your brain in other ways too, like listen to your favorite music while you work, or go to a cafe instead of staying home. A change of environment can really shift your energy.
Yes, I always work better in a coffee shop than at home. Something about being around other people who are also working.
There's actually a name for that. It's called body doubling. Having another person nearby, even a stranger, helps you stay focused.
Interesting. So even going to a library or a cafe counts.
Absolutely. And one more thing I want to say. People often procrastinate because they're afraid of failure. Like, what if I do this and it's not good?
And the answer to that is, done is better than perfect.
Yes, an imperfect thing that exists is better than a perfect thing that never gets made.
And in the long run, doing something imperfectly and learning from it will get you much further than waiting until you feel ready.
And what does in the long run mean exactly?
So in the long run means over a long period of time. When you look at the big picture, at the final result. Like, it might feel uncomfortable now, but in the long run, starting today is always better than waiting.
In the long run, consistency is more important than speed. Or it might be hard now, but in the long run, you'll be glad you started.
Exactly. Such a useful phrase.
Okay, I want to share an honest story about a time I really procrastinated badly.
Oh yes, let's hear it.
So I had to send an important email to someone I was a little nervous about, a professional contact, and I kept putting it off. Every day I thought, I'll write it tomorrow.
How long did that go on?
3 weeks.
3 weeks for one email.
3 weeks. And every day that passed, I felt more and more guilty. And the guilt made it even harder to write because now I also had to apologize for being late.
So the task got bigger the longer you waited.
Exactly, the snowball again. And then one day I just thought, okay, I'm going to break it down. Step 1, just open a new email. That's all. Don't write anything, just open it.
And did that work?
Once I opened it, I thought, well, I'm already here. So I wrote one sentence and then another, and it was done in 10 minutes.
10 minutes after 3 weeks of stress.
I know. The thing itself was never the problem. It was starting.
That's such a good lesson. And I think most procrastination is like that. The task itself is rarely as bad as we've built it up to be in our heads.
Completely. Our imagination makes things scarier than they actually are.
And the moment you get started, that fear disappears almost immediately.
Almost like magic. All right, time for our vocabulary recap. Jake, do you want to go first?
Of course. Number 1, put something off. This means to delay or postpone something, usually because it feels uncomfortable or you don't feel ready.
Number 2, get started. To begin something, especially when it feels hard to begin. The first step is always the hardest, so just get started.
Number 3, break it down. To divide a big task into smaller, more manageable pieces. Don't look at the whole mountain. Just look at the next step.
Number 4, trick your brain. To use a small, clever technique to get yourself moving, like telling yourself you only need to work for 5 minutes.
And number 5, in the long run. Over a long period of time, when you look at the big picture, starting imperfectly today is always better than waiting for perfect conditions.
And one bonus word we used a lot today, procrastination. The habit of always delaying things until tomorrow. Now you know the word, and more importantly, you know how to fight it.
5 phrases plus 1 bonus word. Not bad for 1 episode.
5 great phrases. And I hope today's episode gave you a little push to tackle that thing you've been putting off.
Whatever it is, break it down, get started, and trick your brain if you have to.
You've got this. That's it for today's episode of English Out Loud. Thank you so much for listening.
If this episode was useful, please subscribe and leave a comment telling us, what is one thing you've been putting off? And what small step will you take today?
We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stop putting it off and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.